I'm the Doctor.
I'm a time lord. I'm from the planet Gallifrey, the constellation of Exterminating. When I see a rat,
Time and relative dimension in space.
It means life.
Greetings, humans, Daleks, Time Lords, and prehistoric Red Leeches. You are listening to Exterminating Doctor Who.
This is the show where we take unpopular episodes of Doctor Who and debate whether they're really all that bad.
With your hosts, Aidan Gula.
And me, George Ellis.
And in today's episode, we will be talking about the Crimson Horror.
Ooh, scary. Well, not really at all in the slightest, but...
The Crimson Horror. Did you like that? I was supposed to be short Yorkshire. I didn't quite nail it, did I?
Yeah, neither did the cast.
I mean, mostly, but maybe not some of them. I don't know. I think it was all right. Quite nice to hear regional accents in Doctor Who when it's, usually quite London-centric.
I was just taking a stab.
Or Cardiff-centric, so hearing, Doctor, what have you done to me? Quite nice to hear. That was a bit more Cyberman, actually, wasn't it?
That's a Yorkshire Cyberman. What has happened? And that's a Yorkshireman who's taken the wrong turn.
You will be deleted.
Oh, God. I hope we can top this so that gets cut out. I really hope we do better.
Yeah.
Because if this is staying in,
then,
this is
yeah.
a...
Oh, that's not a good start, is it?
Oh, Genie Mac. No, right, this episode. Initial thoughts. I thought it was a bit naff. Not amazing.
I mean, I suppose that's the purpose, isn't it? It
of
has a
this
very,
episode, to
it's
be
a
naff.
very, it's very Carry On Screaming. I thought, do you even get that reference? That's
No.
quite niche. No.
I know Carry On, but you can't pick one specifically and expect me to know it. If you pick
That's-
Naked Gun 2, then then I'd be.
Yeah, that was a reference for the dads, wasn't it? That one.
Yeah, if you're a dad listening to this, why? There's not even my dad listens to this, so
Nor mine. Sorry, I really need a sugar boost. Right, okay. So, have you seen this episode before? Or was this your first time?
I remember when it first aired, I had seen it when it first aired, but I saw it in such a way where I started watching it, got bored, walked out the room, came back in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I actually didn't watch this one when this originally aired. Because this was a period.
That's a change.
This was actually a period of Doctor Who when I was a bit like, not very good anymore, is it? So if it was on like a Saturday, I wouldn't be bothered if I missed it.
It was on, and I would just kind of catch it because at that age I had nothing better to do.
Yeah, but I do remember this time I was like, oh, Aidan, Doctor Who's on. I'd be like, so that's basically how I became a Doctor at this point. And then I remember doing a rewatch years later. I got the Series 7 box set. I thought, let's do a rewatch. Watched this episode and was like, I don't remember this. Have I seen this before? Then realised I obviously hadn't. And since then, it's become a bit of a guilty pleasure episode where I'm like, it's quite bad, but I quite enjoy watching it.
Oh, do you? Fair enough. There are definitely some elements that I really do enjoy in this episode, mainly to do with the Doctor doing some certain things. But there are some creative decisions which I'm not very fond of, and I think are just gimmicky, but we'll get onto those.
I mean, this is the third Mark Gatiss episode we've done on this podcast.
What were the other two again?
Sleep No More and Victory of the Daleks.
Sorry, my brain really had to fight to find Sleep No More in my knowledge there.
So I quite like it for those reasons, because I do quite like Mark Gatiss, whatever. And I also really like... I really like you, Mark Gatiss, if you're listening. And I really like the Paternoster Gang as well. Not many people do, actually, but I do. I really like the Paternoster Gang. So if they're in an episode, I'm like, yes.
Those little...
Yes, they're in quite a few episodes, and I enjoy all of the ones that they're in. So I
Yeah.
like them.
They
A
have
lot,
an interesting dynamic.
a lot of people say they ruined the Silurians and they ruined the Sontarans, but I'm like, that's just your opinion, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't. All aliens, they're like humans, With just they're all. Some of them are going to be evil. Some of them are going to be nice. That's just how
I
it is.
mean, I suppose you could say for the Sontarans they wouldn't because they're all clones.
Well, yeah. To be fair,
So
I
they're
would
all,
say that
they're all
out of
bred
the
to
two of
be
them,
evil, but
the
we just
the
ignore
Sontaran
that
thing,
because I do like Strax.
he has funny moments, and he is quite good. But it is a bit out of character, to be fair. It's like if you have a Dalek doing donuts in a subway, going "Way!"
I mean, I'd see that. I'd watch that.
I mean, I'd love it, but
They just
it's
rock up to a Dalek episode one day and it's just like, I don't know, like Sound of the Police is blasting or something, and he's just like doing donuts around. He's just blasting things. Someone's put a baseball cap on it.
oh my
It's just
god,
going up the street, just shooting street lights.
a Dalek with a baseball cap on. It's amazing. Would it have two baseball caps on? Because it could have two, one on each.
Either
Yeah.
light. I don't know. Or does it have one in the middle? Does it have one on either? Or
No,
does
it's
it
got to
have...
be on. I'd say if it's just one on one night, because that'd be like proper cool. Like backwards. Yeah. I want. Yeah. Right. Okay. There you go.
And you know
Got
that like
two.
the new series Daleks have the insignia below the eye stalk. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you're right there.
Or stalk. It's supposed to show which Dalek they are. I don't know what the point of that is, but they all have that little symbol.
Yeah, right. I know what this is. Okay.
All have the little symbol. You could get that on this Dalek. Just put North Face on it. Boom.
Supreme.
Yeah.
Bright red.
That is our street Dalek.
And it's like product placement. You could just have a Coca-Cola Dalek rock up. There you go. If you're listening, Doctor Who,
Sponsor.
you're not doing very well money wise. Coca-Cola Daleks. Just have
Branding,
them.
yeah.
There you go.
we'll stick with the Crimson Aura. Crimson Aura.
You've picked up the accent, haven't you?
I mean, well, it's sort of in my blood anyway because my family is from.
In your
York.
blood. What is this? Are we doing gangs now? What's happening?
It's in my blood. Well, my family is from Yorkshire, so half my family. So in a way, sometimes when I am talking, sometimes it does come up a little bit, and I start talking like when Matt Smith is doing the bit where him and Clara are getting into the Sweetville trap. He only goes, "Oh, me and the wife are well chuffed," and he's talking like that. I thought that's basically you're doing an impression of me there, aren't you? Well, right, chuffed, aren't we, love? I'm like, stop. That's me.
You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Aidan is in a Yorkshire mafia, and it's in his blood, so he can't deny this fact. So if I just disappear one day and replace with someone else, I've been murdered.
By the Supreme Dalek. Wait, the Supreme Dalek! Ah! Easily entertained, aren't I? Right, so... How does it start? What is the start? Oh, it's that woman's husband goes missing.
The start is breakneck. I remember checking that, like, it was like we've gone to 4 different locations, and then it was 1 minute 50 in, and I paused it and I was like, how far in are we? 1:50, and we'd gone to like 4 places. It was quick, impressive, but it still felt like I was doing donuts with a fast race car driver. I don't know race car drivers, so I was going to say Jeremy Clarkson, but I was like, that's dated a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we talk about BBC things here, so maybe we should say donuts with Paddy McGuinness.
Right.
We deny that Top Gear, right?
Yeah,
so,
but no.
Well, I suppose the like that cutting around sort of is because it's going for that Dr. Light thing for the first 15 minutes, and then they think, but maybe people don't like the Dr. Light thing. Let's just have what we would have had instead, and then you get those cuts later on as well, don't you? Where it's the flashback, where it's him investigating. So we've got like basically 2 intros to get through at the start.
Exactly. The intro where it's the cold open, I think is very good actually, especially when it's like seeing the picture before you die. I think you know what I mean. Anyone listening here will have no idea unless they've watched the episode because of the way I explain that. But that was
why would you be listening if you haven't seen the episode? What would be the point?
You're my mum.
Well, that's because it's your mum, isn't it?
Yeah, but when it's like they're as soon as it was what was the image this last person saw, I was like, it's gonna be the Doctor. But I was like, it's gonna be the
course.
Doctor. And then when they were in the dark room, developing the image, and then it's the Doctor. I was like, hey, I knew it, but hey, because it's kind of fun. It's nice. And then the music kicks up. I love it when Doctor Who does what is this mysterious thing, this date, this time? Where are we? We're following no one we know, or at least no one who's the Doctor. And then it leads into the Doctor's already here. And then the music kicks up, and it's that's cool. It's it's showing the Doctor's always kind of one step ahead in a way as well. It's nice. I love those cold opens. They're fantastic. And I think this one is very good, actually.
Yeah, I agree. Because what was the first scene after the cold open? That's a challenge of that's a memory test, isn't it?
I watched it yesterday.
I know it.
You watched it this
I
morning.
watched it an hour ago. I know it had Vastra in it, so I'm assuming. I don't know. They're investigating or something. Maybe it was them planning what to do.
I think it was them planning.
Yeah, but either way, so it was just here's the Paternoster Gang. Remember these guys? Now let's go off on their adventure, which I do like. And actually, we've mentioned this a few times on this podcast. Big Finish. I'd love to listen to Big Finish, but it's just so damn expensive. Well, the Paternoster Gang do have their own series, and I'd love to listen to that because I love the sort of
the dynamic.
I love the Victorian Mystery. I do actually really like it. We've said this on a previous podcast, actually, but I said there's been some weird. I'm just repeating jokes here, but there's been some weird Sherlock Holmes reboots over the years. They've done a modern day reboot, they've done a female reboot, but this is by far the weirdest reboot where they turn Sherlock into a lesbian lizard. Like it is a bizarre, but it is.
I think so do Jack the Ripper with these guys.
They've mentioned him.
That's like perfect. That's a good idea for a good Doctor Who episode. Bit darker.
I mean, I do have an idea for a Jack the Ripper episode, but anyway, it's got Zygons in it. Anyway, they have mentioned him before because I think I can't think which episode it is, but there is one where Vastra comes back. She walks into the house, and they go, "I've just been dealing with Jack the Ripper. He tasted lovely," and they say something like that because it's implied that she ate him, and that's why people have never been able to find him. So, I didn't really know. What are they? What is the species called? A Silurian.
Scary lizard people that scared me quite a bit.
Homo reptilia, isn't it? That's it. Like my internet history.
I'm so glad you made a joke.
Right. So
I was like, this is prime opportunity for a joke, but I couldn't think of a good one. Thank you so much.
So, it's a very disorganized start to this episode, isn't it?
We've spoken about complete bollocks and the first 1 minute 50.
So while we're on the Paternoster Gang,
I think their dynamic is interesting. The way they work together, it does feel kind of Sarah Janey in a way. How it's kind of a completely separate group and they're doing their thing in the Doctor Who world. It's nice, not as good as the Sarah Jane Gang, might I say, because K9. Like you could just have K9 against any other being in the Doctor Who
K9
universe.
just lives in the cupboard though, doesn't he?
Yeah, but you have no idea how much I was when I watched Sarah Jane Adventures and K9 actually showed up. It was like the highlight of my year. It was like yes, and then he did something once with a laser, and I was like, "You good dog." It was so amazing, honestly.
Right, let's move off the Paternoster Gang because we clearly haven't got anything to say about them. Because I only have 2 notes about them, which are always a plus for the Paternoster Gang, and then Sontarha. So they're the only two.
Does he actually say Sontarha in this episode? Does he actually say that?
Yeah, it's the bit where Jenny's in the corridor and she does the little elbowing the people. And then
good choreography.
And then she's like, I'm going to take on all these people, or I'll just kick one of them and elbow a second one. Sure, you
There we
really
go.
are.
If ever you're in a fighting situation and you elbow someone, be prepared for them to shoot you in the face
They only had clubs though.
or whack you in the head.
We
Because
were
there's
only in 1893. They aren't militarized just yet.
one of them has a handgun, the old lady, but
Yeah, but she obviously didn't give it to her minions, though, did she?
I
She's
know
like,
that's a bit
you could
dense,
have
though.
you could have a baseball bat instead.
I mean, world domination for baseball bats. Smart.
Yeah, it's that bit, and then when she turns around, there's something like 20 of them, and then Strax just goes Santa, ha! And just runs up the corridor, just shooting them.
That
Doesn't actually
bit
shoot
was
anybody, just sort of shoots the walls a bit.
misses. Well, that's because there's nothing coming out of that gun. He's just aiming, and the editors have just got to be like, you're just missing here. Yeah, we can't work with this because they've got the light on it, so they can't just add it at any time. It has to be when. So yeah, the actor of Strax. Is that his name? Strax?
Dan Starkey is the name of the actor.
Dan Starkey can't aim. That's what we've learned here. But no.
So I always used to get them. It was a side note here, but when I did history A level, we went to meet a historian called David Starkey, and I was very confused because when my teacher was like, "We're going to go meet David Starkey," everybody was like, "Oh, that's quite interesting." And I was sitting there like, "What? The guy who plays Strax in Doctor Who?" And I was like genuinely really confused for ages. And then a picture of David Starkey came up on the board and was like, "Oh, not Dan Starkey, because that would
Gotcha.
be ridiculous." Speaking of history, Victorian set episodes. I do really like the Victorian set episodes. Quite a few Matt Smith ones, because obviously we need the Paternoster Gang because they're in the Victorian times. I did like the whole mystery detective vibe. It's like there's something going on. We need to send somebody in.
If you're going to write a Victorian era episode, you've got two options: detective or detective, and they went with detective. So,
Yeah.
but no,
that is everything I've ever seen in Victorian times, isn't it? Detectives.
You can't do anything proper. You can't really do an action film because there's not really there's not the technology for it. You can't it's you've got detective. Film. That's it. Or period drama, which is Downton Abbey. I'm gonna stand by those words. If anyone likes Downton Abbey,
even that's 20th century.
Oh.
It's not Victorian times, is it?
There you go. See,
they have this. I'm sure they have the First World War in that. Yeah, maybe the Second World War.
It's the same. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I do quite like the Victorian era. Yeah, it's never really done much for me. The Victorian era setting in anything. Well, in only one thing, and that's Batman Gotham by Gaslight, because Batman has.
I should have pressed the stopwatch as soon as I mentioned Victorian. I was like, he's going to mention Gotham by Gaslight, isn't he? How long is it going to be? I think it's all of 30 seconds, wasn't it?
Well, it's a nice take on Batman, and he beats the hell out of Jack the Ripper, which is lovely. And and guess what? That's a mystery as well. It's him just figuring out who Jack the Ripper is, and everything's a mystery, even when you can have action with Batman, still a mystery. But do you know the opening with not David, God,
David.
with Matt, the Doctor. When we have that flashback to when he's actually doing the mystery, so it's the second of the two openings, you know. That was it was nice knowing what they've been up to, but I also detest the grainy stylized footage that they decided to go with. I hate that so much. What do you think of it?
What's your beef with that?
It
was just their way of showing a flashback, wasn't it?
I didn't like it. It felt too like I'd just gone into Premiere Pro and clicked old, please. Yes, thank you. It felt.
Shall I put it over this podcast?
No, don't.
Oh my god! I actually might.
God, don't, please don't. No, I'd retire. That's please no.
It's already chaotic enough.
It takes me out of it because I just noticed that and I can't. I'm disconnected from the world. I really don't like that thing. Black and white, I would have been fine with, but when they decided to go old timey film with the grain, I was like, this is the film here, yeah. This is the filter. That's all it did to me. I'm not a fan, but personal preference. It's fair enough if you liked it, although I don't like you anymore if you do. I'm kidding. It was. But that mystery of seeing their point of view was quite nice. But all that kind of showed me is that I would have kind of preferred maybe to have that as be more of the opening. Just have the cold open be the Paternoster Gang, Paternoster, however you say it.
I suppose
Those,
you could have had that the initial mystery as the the flashback mystery. I mean, that could
Yeah.
have been the cold open, not quite jumping around so much, but you could have had them discover. Some cold opens have gone on for like 15 minutes. You've got plenty of time.
yeah,
You could have had the Doctor and Clara arriving, discovering Sweetville. This, that, the other happens. They get dunked in the Carry On Screaming, Frying Tonight, liquid stuff, and then you see the Doctor in that cage.
and then the
Titles.
music, yeah.
Then you get the Paternoster Gang being called to action, and then you get the whole thing of let's go find the Doctor. You could have done that.
Yeah, I would have preferred maybe having. Yeah, I just think seeing. It felt like a bit of a pointless flashback, or like they were just sidelining the Doctor. The Doctor's out. Like either don't do it, or like do it. They just half-assed it. That's how it kind of
Well,
feels.
yeah, that's what I was saying. They sort of gave you both because it was. I don't think the Doctor actually showed up, not properly, until 15 minutes in. Until then, he was just. So, so they sort of like, let's go for the no Doctor beginning, but let's also show you what would have happened if the Doctor was in the beginning, and sort of give you both, which I'm actually all right with.
Mm,
But obviously, you're
I'm not.
not.
No,
Yeah,
yeah. It
I'm
just
fine
it.
with it.
Yeah, no, I can. It's not that big of a deal. Like I'm okay with it, but I think it could have worked better sticking to one or the other.
Mm. I think
Or
maybe
just
because it's got the Paternoster Gang in its place, I'm like, yeah, these guys are back, so I'm fine watching them.
mm,
And
the
Doctor shows.
Paternoster then don't do much for me. They're just a nice kind of dynamic, but they don't really seem to have much depth as characters. Strax is
That's why we couldn't have a discussion about them because there's nothing
Strax
to
is
say.
because Strax is just angry Sontaran. That's all they are. That's their whole point. Um, Leather Combat Lady is
The wife of the Silurian.
gotcha. I didn't even
That,
know that.
no, but that's her entire thing, isn't it? That she's
Okay,
just the wife.
and she can fight. The Silurian is kind of interesting, but it's just another detective, and it's not really got anything extra to it other than it's a detective. No, it's a detective. She's a detective who's an alien. That's just no. That's just that's the character. There's no depth. The dynamic is the dynamic isn't a deep dynamic. It's just funny dynamic. That's all the dynamic is. It's Strax being I want to beat people up, and the leader being don't do that. Ha ha ha. Ha. That's it. There's not much. There's no depth to them, and I
But I
feel
think
like
that's
I'd
like
rather
why.
follow
Yeah, I think that's
someone who has.
why I say it's a guilty pleasure episode because they're fun to watch, and that's as far as it goes for me. I'm just like they're fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Funny,
that's fair enough.
funny lizard, little
Big
potato man
egg.
shooting things.
I went with egg for Potato Man, but it's the same thing.
Always potato, but people always say they look like potatoes. How could you miss that?
I don't know.
Obvious.
Don't bully
Cool.
me, all right?
Right. The plot of the episode then, with the Crimson Horror and the Purple People. What was the point?
I don't know.
Because I mean,
Because
obviously it follows. We talk about it throughout the episode and up until the final showdown. But in the final showdown, when the former Bond girl, who I actually didn't realize was a former Bond girl until she actually died last year, then I was like, wait, she was in Doctor 2 and James Bond. But anyway, when she explains the big plot, it's like we will shoot
means
this
nothing.
rocket up and we will rain down the venom, then we will emerge as our people. I rewound that scene 3 times because I was like, yeah, but wait, what for what reason? Why? What will your people do? What have they achieved? I was just so confused.
Okay, right. This is my piecing together. She wanted the most attractive, beautiful people so she could preserve them for once she killed everyone else who was deemed unworthy and ugly, basically. Then the best of the best could emerge and repopulate the world Adam and Eve style. That's what I was imagining.
But why?
There's no point to it at all. Yeah, that's.
But why?
I know what she was doing. There's no. I'm assuming she just had a real for mass orgies.
I didn't even get like the attractive part. When she was like, "And all our people will emerge," I was just like, "Well, what makes them so special? What have you've not done
They look
anything to
good.
them?
That's just yeah.
You've not put them through them some sort of education camp to make them these ultimate beings. They're just there."
She just likes dolls, and I think that's kind of emulated in the way she freezes them. You know, I think she just likes that's she's like the leader is just superficial. There's no, I don't think there is a deeper meaning to it, because otherwise, why are they frozen to look like dolls? I think that's a parallel.
I was like, rewind. What have I missed? What are you saying that I've not quite caught there?
I don't think there is anything more to it, because
That's why it's sort of where it does lose me. If I'm honest, I'm with it. I'm like, this is maybe naff and a bit crap.
No, you
I'm
lost
with
it like
you.
10 years ago, but sorry,
Okay.
mate, I was calling you insane. It's a joke.
Oh, I see. I wasn't witty enough for that one. But it's naff and it's not very good, objectively. But I do enjoy it up until that point. Then I'm like, I don't get what you're doing now, and then I don't like everything that follows that. Actually, everything that happens afterwards, I'm like,
But that's the thing. Everything that happens afterwards doesn't feel like much of a change than everything that happened before. It is all the same. It's not like it takes a sudden turn.
No, but I think it's the setup.
Mystery.
The setup is more interesting,
and the payoff.
The mystery is more interesting than what it is. Like, for example, something I wrote was when they're talking about the red leech, whatever it's called, Mr. Sweet, isn't it? When before they even see it, when Vastra is saying this red leech would infest our waters and wipe out whole races, and was like, make it out to be this mighty thing. Like, I wrote The Legend of the Red Leech, which is, my new metal album coming soon. But I thought it sounded like this really big, bold thing, and you just see this little prosthetic thing and it's like, that doesn't match what you're making. It's
more like this, though.
For those just listening, he just sort of squirmed to the right.
Yes. Okay, better solution for Mrs. Lady. I want to kill everyone for no real reason. Just put the leech in the water. If it infects waters, just put that thing in the water. Done.
Well, people didn't drink water in the Victorian era, though, did they?
But then just throw the leech at people. Every day. There you go. I don't know.
The Thames water was so filthy. Well, I suppose this is Yorkshire, though, isn't it? But the Thames water was so dirty that they actually gave beer to children because it was better for them to drink than water.
That's word. Yeah. To everyone who says, I wish I lived in the Victorian era.
Who says that?
I do, every day.
Why would any...
Because I want to live in the time... You completely cut out there. Are you okay?
No, I shouldn't have. I was going... Must be a bad place for me to freeze then, because I just went slavery and then obviously froze.
Well, don't repeat it. No. But yeah, and she says about how the red leech gives her his sweet nectar. Is that just the poison?
I don't know. How does she get his plan as well? Does the nectar go into her and then that gives her ideas, maybe?
Yeah. But or
is she just completely crazy that she's like, Mr. Sweet told me to do it, but he didn't actually, and it's just this red leech just sort of like... Because I did like the line, actually, with I have a few problems with the Doctor in this episode, but there is a line where he goes, I'm the Doctor, you're nuts, and I'm going to stop you. I did really like that
I was
line,
trying to remember that. Damn you. No, I love that line. I do. It was like, I'm the Doctor, you're nuts. And it's like, yeah, he knows what he's doing.
It was just so completely dismissive. And
yeah,
I think
the Doctor's...
Maybe it wasn't actually Mr. Sweet with these ideas. She just...
Because usually he tries to look at things in a more in-depth way, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So I think with this one, he was just like, yeah, you're just nuts.
Yeah, it wasn't like, let me understand your motives. It wasn't like, I'm going to give you a second plan. It was second chance. It was just, you're nuts, whatever. Just, I'm here. Let's just get this over and done with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, yeah. So maybe it's just meant to be that, which is a bit disappointing.
But then also, how would she know about the poison and the venom if it was that? I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense. How is this thing communicating with her? How does she know the plan? Is she just crazy?
But if she is just crazy, then why? What? Like this whole episode, what is the point of the leech if she is just crazy? Because then she could just make a big bomb or something. Like it's I don't know. Right. If we were in the same room, I would beat you up right now for that. But we're not. You're lucky.
Leave call.
No. But no, I'm gonna go on to the doctor for a second here. Do you know the bit where he comes back out of the thing and he's like, "Hello, I'm back," and he
Yes.
runs away and does a little skippity hop, clickety
Yes.
of the feet. Love that bit. Up until the point where
I
he says,
despise that.
No, I do like where he does a little click and then he snogs her, which I'm like, why?
That whole thing. Do you know we've talked about this before about the 11th Doctor, and I say that they got the 11th Doctor is this really interesting character with loads of depth, and then they just went, let's just make him throw his arms around a bit and just jump around. And I think I've used this scene as an example before as the moment the 11th Doctor just went too far. Like it's a moment that represents not. I mean, he went too far before, but this is like the best signifier of it.
Best signal, best
Yeah,
one.
if somebody said to me, "What do you mean that the Doctor took the 11th Doctor too far?" I would show them that
Yeah,
scene
I get you.
where he jumps out, runs around, jumps in the air, kisses her, does this, that, and I'm like, what happened to the 11th Doctor? That is the scene I would use.
I get what you're saying. I do quite like him because he's been frozen in red paint. Yeah,
You got to do that every time you
I'm not
describe
gonna
his
do that.
frozen state. Just go.
No, right. He's covered in red paint and he can't move and he can't talk. So he's gonna be quite sore, you know, and he's gonna be really annoyed because do you ever get like whenever I don't know, when you're lying down and you like your arm or your leg. I'm not going anywhere weird here. Don't worry. He's looking at me funny, ladies and gentlemen. When kind of your arm goes dead and it's like a weird kind of pain in your muscle, and the only way to kind of solve it is to move. Yeah. Do you ever
Right.
get that feeling?
I'm just gonna roll with it, but
I
sure.
do. Like it's maybe an aching or something. Like if you're lying in bed and you feel uncomfortable. Yeah. The only way to solve it is to roll over and just completely change your body position.
Yes.
I know. I like that feeling. So basically, that's how I'm imagining the Doctor's just been like an uncomfortable agony where he just can't move, and it would be hell. I'd hate it so much. And then he's now able to move again, refreshed, lovely jubbly. I see that as him kind of being like, I want to move around. I've been
I suppose so.
completely static.
Before you even started saying that, I suppose if you were stiff and now you're loose, you would. But I don't know. I actually think it's a bit over the top. He could have just stepped out and gone, "Oh, I'm back."
It's
But
it's
why do you
extravagant.
feel the need to run away and jump and this,
It's-
that? It's like, stop being so childish, man.
It's kind of it's flamboyant and it's kind of him showing off. I kind of like that for just this bit, and I think it works in him being all frozen and now he can move again. But I okay, I like him running, little skip, click, running back. Happy, I can move again. Lovely. That should have been it. When he snogged her, I was like, why?
Yeah, and I also, this is 2013. I really think you would not be able to get away with that in 2021 either, because going up to a lesbian and just snogging her would be. Well, so the Doctor just sexually harassed this woman, and it would
Up
be
to
like,
anyone and just up to anyone and just snogging them.
yeah, I know, but especially that even takes away any more reason for consent as well, and it's just like,
yeah,
ooh. You wouldn't see Jodie Whittaker doing that, would you?
you shouldn't see anyone. It's just
But I mean, in current Doctor Who, you wouldn't.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah, I get you.
Wouldn't get that.
But
I don't like that. It's already over the top, and then it just goes too far, and I'm like, it's gone from over the top to quite uncomfortable now.
Yeah, because what is that? That's not him being, I can move again. Is it like, is it I can move my tongue? Let's go to town. That's
and then she slaps him, and he goes, "Oh, I needed that." And it's like, could you not have just gone slap me? Why did she?
Which is more doctory actually to say, just hit me. That's. Him. I don't like that. It's dumb. It reminds me of Joss Whedon because of the stuff. Joss Whedon in Justice, in his version of Justice,
allegedly for legal reasons.
well, yeah, but in his edit of Justice League, he had the Flash fall on Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, for no apparent reason.
So No, it's so, and then and this leads on to that point about writers and creatives sexualizing for no reason. Again, leads on to when she kicks ass and the doctor's like, "I've got a wand and I'm stiffy."
Yeah.
It's like, go fuck yourself. You know, it's not. That's
I mean, that joke's funny in The Day of the Doctor when they both have their sonics, you know.
because they're
Matt Smith
comparing. You know,
Matt Smith extends, and then because that's
but
the
that's
sort
him
of,
with himself. That's not
Yeah.
objectifying.
But when they do it, that when a woman strips down to some tight leather and he's like got his thing pointing up, and it's like, Mark, or maybe this was in the script, or maybe this was a director thing. But
I'm
either
feeling
way,
director thing.
but either because I
You
don't know.
don't see this kind of thing in the other Mark Gatiss
No,
episodes, do you?
and I've seen loads of Mark Gatiss things, and he's like outside of Doctor Who, and he's never does anything like that. So it's probably a director thing. Don't know who the director is, but you suck. So, so I think I've actually done all my notes. I'm not gonna lie.
There you go. But no, just that bit. It's so. I don't understand. Just why? Why do you need the the
No.
doc? Like it's first off, it's out of character for the Doctor, so that's an in-universe thing that annoys me. Second off, it's sexualizing just
Jenny.
it's sexualizing Jenny and it's sexualizing the Doctor as well for no reason.
Mm.
Like it's making the Doctor being like, "Oh, the Doctor's got a stiffy," and it's like, why have you done this? It's so Jenny's doing a badass moment. Great, you've sexualized that. The Doctor's back. You've sexualized him being back, and you've fucked them both up there.
I think that scene just generally represents everything I don't like with the 11th Doctor. And then they just take it even further, and it's like, that's my general feeling about this episode.
Wacky can be kind of good for some characters, maybe not for your protagonist. You know.
A lot of the time we say this episode's crap, but the Doctor saves it. And there was quite a few episodes recently we've gone, nah, he doesn't, or nah, she doesn't. And again, here the Doctor isn't a plus point for me. Besides the Doctor, you're nuts. The Doctor that's maybe again why I like the Paternoster Gang in this, because I feel like they're driving it a bit more than he is. And I find
why is there such a relationship? Sorry, why is there such a relationship between the Doctor and Clara as well? It's
well, I suppose that was the aim, wasn't it? Pretty boy Doctor with pretty girl companion. It was like, let's get them together.
And also there was they're on screen together.
There was the whole, obviously, the impossible girl mystery as well, which is why there's the portion dedicated to, I need to go find Clara, and they're like, Clara's dead, because obviously in the snowman she is, and there's that whole thing dedicated to it, because there was that whole, I think is it Journey to the Center of the TARDIS? No, it was Nightmare in Silver, isn't it? The next episode when he says the impossible girl squeezed into a skirt that's just too tight or something like that. And it's like, it's supposed to be the idea that he's, the impossible girl, and he's fascinated with that, and she's fascinated with him. And it's like,
but he's not just fascinated with that from that line, because that's the Doctor's inner thought. He's fascinated with how much he wants to her.
That's what I'm saying, though. But it's like he's fascinated with her. She's like intrigued to the. I don't know. I'm making excuses. I didn't like the romance between 11 and Clara. I much prefer Clara with 12, because I feel like we've had the romance thing. It was very much a Russell T Davies era thing, and whenever they try to do it again, I'm like, it belongs to that era, and I don't think it works anywhere else.
I agree. The thing with the Russell T Davies, like Rose and the Doctor, that one feels like two people who obviously have a deep chemistry and connection there, but they kind of fighting it, and then it's the discovery of them both falling in love, and then it's the fact they can't be together. There's a lot of layers to that, and it's got some there's a real deep meaning. Whereas with Clara and the Doctor, it's a bit more like these two are two high school lovers who just can't get enough of each other, and I'm just
and also with Rose as well, that I can forgive that, because obviously it's like, trauma. Oh my god, what is going on up here?
It was fine. What if you?
because it was like, basically a trauma bond that they formed and then fell in love, and that's all fine. But as soon as the Doctor meets River Song, that, as far as I'm concerned, they should never be romanced again.
Yeah.
Because now you found your wife and your love of your life. It's like, why are you ever bothering with that again? For example, a lot of people ship, I hate that word, but ship Thasmin, which
Who's
is the 13th Doctor, and Yaz. So many people say they should get together. And I'm like,
why?
no. I'm like, no. Because River Song, the woman you're married to, why are you running off with Yaz? Or Clara? Like anybody that has come since River Song, and since we knew for a fact that River Song is the Doctor's wife, no. I never want to see the Doctor romance.
The reason the Rose one works beforehand is because in the Doctor's mind,
well, he hasn't met River Song yet either.
Exactly. So that's just it's just another relationship. Like, you're correct. As soon as we have River Song onwards,
that's it. As far that we should never have it again.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
you can have people maybe if you really want, but you probably shouldn't. If you want people to be interested in him, you could have him kind of. They could be interested, but she or they, whichever. No matter which Doctor it is, they shouldn't. And as soon like the Doctor's now a woman, that doesn't then mean that she doesn't love River anymore. If it does, that undermines everything that the Doctor is, because the whole point is that it's the same brain, just with a little bit of rejigs.
Yeah. Well, that's why they say Thasmin, because they're saying, well, the Doctor's sexuality hasn't changed. She would still like women, so he's now going to go for Yaz, who. Why? There's a joke in one episode where the Doctor meets Yaz's mum, and Yaz's mum goes, "Oh, are you two dating?" And Yaz is like, "No," and the Doctor goes, "Aren't we? I thought we were." Why are you laughing? It's an awful line. I hate it.
No, but I'm just laughing at how terrible it is more than anything, because right.
It's
If
the
Jodie's
Doctor, you're married. No, you're not dating Yaz.
this is what I'm saying. Even if the Doctor, as Jodie, was looking for a new girl, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why would she pick Yaz? Because Yaz is the least interesting person on the planet.
Yeah, that is, like Martha was supposed to be the rebound, but at least she was interesting.
Hey, let's
Yaz would
let's
be
keep
like
Martha. I like her. All right.
Yaz would be a midlife crisis. Well, I think the Doctor's far further than midlife. Well, there is no midlife because she's immortal. But it'd be.
Did you guys feel that there was a real bit of spite in that sentence?
Yeah, just
hate.
Stupid timeless child. I hate it all being.
Oh, tongues.
Hey?
You're speaking in tongues. Lovely.
Why I ought. That's what I was doing. Cartoon.
No, that bit.
I thought that sounded Belarusian or something there. George is speaking in the Soviet Union.
You've caught me. I'm a Russian spy.
The red sparrows fly east in October.
Did you wink or blink? Because I missed that.
Well, I try to wink, but I realize it just looks like I'm having a stroke all the time.
I look at you and it was this.
I don't think I can actually wink because my whole face, like you wink. Like
wait. Okay, wink.
See, look, just your eye moves. When I wink, my whole face moves.
I love.
Your hair.
It's not just. It is the whole face, but the most noticeable thing with you is the wink, but the mouth comes with.
I try to wink and turn into Elvis, but I'm like, that's what I do. It's awful. I can't wink. I can't swim. God, I can't whistle. I'm useless, aren't I? Well, it's a very weird scenario if you had to wink, whistle, and swim at the same time. What? Sorry. What would that situation be? Anyway.
Crimson Horror, yeah?
I had a complete moment there. So I've run out of notes. Because
but
and then the whole the final showdown as well. We're on that.
Oh my god, that final showdown shouldn't have happened. We've cornered the bad guy, but we're gonna let her walk away. Are you all idiots? I don't understand that bit at all. There's this big console, and they let her just walk up to it and just go flick. And then Clara with the chair. How do you know that chair was gonna work?
Well, I mean, ramming a chair into a machine is probably Victorian machine is probably gonna work.
maybe, but even so, usually, if right, it wouldn't be.
If
it
I
was just
rammed
one
if I
signal.
rammed a chair into this laptop, I'm pretty sure it'd stop working.
I know, but okay, your laptop sent a signal to the rocket to take off. If I destroy the laptop, that doesn't stop working. That signal's gone. Unless it has to be a constant signal. That's bad design if you've designed your spaceship to only take off
Well,
if it's
we are in 1893 though.
with a spaceship. I'm just saying,
Well, it was a steampunk rocket, wasn't it?
it's a spaceship.
It wasn't a spaceship though, because it wasn't designed to go to space. It was just supposed to go up and blow up.
Yeah,
It was a
right.
missile. It was a missile. That's what it
Yeah, but
was.
it's the same thing. Okay, then it's a missile. It's probably less likely to need a constant input because it's just a go and blow.
Is that your internet history?
You got to keep the last joke in now for this one to land.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I absolutely will. If I'm being funny, I've got to keep it in, haven't I? I'll cut your funny bits out, but I keep
Hey,
mine.
what? You do that? Yeah, you. Right. I'm funny. You just cut some out. Yeah, but that final showdown, it's so meaningless. And the Doctor is right. I'm going to ask you this question: does the Doctor have compassion for anything?
I mean, usually.
Yeah. When she fell over the railings and went splat, why was his reaction? Ooh.
Ooh.
It was like,
Maybe he just doesn't like crazy people.
yeah. I don't know. It did feel. The Doctor had like 2 moments, the line, and I did quite like the little click of the heels, and that was it. But every other bit there in this episode with the Doctor, it doesn't feel like the Doctor at all, does it?
Not really.
He's
Also, how did she survive that fall? She's a woman in like her 80s and she fell down like 6 flights of stairs. How is she still alive?
well, because
I suppose Mr. Sweet, you could say, was giving her life.
well, no, he
Then
wasn't. The whole point of a parasite is it takes life away from you.
Well, he was giving her his nectar.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. I don't know.
I hated the creature, and it getting smashed was great. But even then, when it was smashed, he was like, "Oh well," and it's like, I thought you wanted to preserve. You know, it was just a leech surviving. I don't really see how the leech was the bad guy in this situation. Yes, it's a bad thing, and it creates bad stuff.
I suppose so, but then because we don't know how much it was giving her the ideas. Because if it was like, rain my venom down upon Yorkshire,
Then it's the bad guy.
And it's the bad guy, but we don't know it was doing that. My interpretation is that she was like, I'm gonna rain venom down on Yorkshire,
Exactly.
and he was just sort of like, and it was like, are you even involved in the situation?
I feel like she was not she. I feel like the creature was just a means to an end for her, just connected, and it was like
I think
she's already
probably
insane.
Yeah, I
and
think
she
it's probably
wanted
on her chest. It probably leaked a bit of venom. Ugh, horrible phrase, but it probably leaked a bit of venom out one day. She was like, "Oh, what does this do?" Gave it to somebody. They died, and went.
Well, no, the blind.
What was the story about the blind? Because I didn't actually understand it.
It was the old lady experimenting on her daughter. I'm assuming with the venom, or she just wanted to. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand. I'd already rewound that scene 3 times. It's like I'm not going to rewind again, but I don't actually get this. Because then she just storms into the room going, "You hag!" And I'm like, "But what have I missed here? Why is hag?" Well, she just kept saying that over. She said hag at least 3 times. Yeah. And then was really overacting in that bit. And then when she fell down the stairs later on, was like, ah! And then like stumbled. I thought, can we stop with the overacting now, please?
This isn't a theatre play.
And she's like, I am falling. No one had to then tumble.
Oh, Doctor, catch me.
And then when the old lady starts shooting at the Doctor and misses him twice at point blank range, I'm like, are you really that bad of a shot? The Doctor's about 3 feet away from you, and she went,
exactly. Right. Okay. If she's just old, maybe she can miss. But if this parasite is supposed to be giving us something, why is she not like? Should she not be more healthy? You know.
I think Mr. Sweet should have crawled out, gone down a sleeve, and then he picks up the gun himself, and he's just like.
Honestly, if a part of it feels kind of disjointed as well, you have this dipping sauce, which you're dipping all your humans in, and then you have this tiny little parasite.
I said the Carry On Screaming reference earlier, which is niche, but I'll bring it back up again now because literally the plot of Carry On Screaming is that they dip people in a big vat of things and they turn into waxwork models. That is literally the plot of Carry On Screaming. So when I see this, I'm like, And they even stripped them down to like those white undergarments as well in Carry On Screaming. So when I'm watching them, I'm going, I'm enjoying this because this reminds me of Carry On Screaming. I would rather you stick with that theme, if I'm perfectly honest, and develop that further rather than having this parasite leech thing later on. Even though what you were doing at the start is literally Carry On Screaming.
Oh yeah.
I would much
Well,
prefer you to carry on that.
I mean, they could have just had like 100 of those leeches and just be like, we're harvesting this to create this poison that we're going to poison the city, but that would have just been better. Why did you need to make it dipping sore? It's lost me, honestly. I've got nothing more to talk about other than how much.
Yeah, and sort of like I wish they had said there was something about those people in Sweetville that there's a reason for those people to rise up. Right? I feel like we've naturally progressed on to what we do to fix this. But when she just says, "We'll rain the venom down and kill people, and then my people will emerge," and I'm like, why? If they said they had that when they dip them in that venom, it does a certain thing to them. It makes them this ultimate being. It makes them smart. It makes them dangerous. The techno babble. But if you'd said something about that, I'm more inclined to believe you.
It's very much like the old lady. I forget her name. She's got a plan. It's like the Joker line. She's a dog chasing a car. No idea what she's going to do when she's got what she wants. She's just there for the ride.
And I just don't. When she's always talking about my new Eden, and then even the girl, I can't think what the blind girl, I can't think what her name is, but she's like, "Will I be in your Eden, Mama?" And then it's like, I don't. But what is it? Just because you're blind, you're ugly, you're not gonna. But what is that message? Is it beauty's only skin deep? Haha! Look at my skin. I don't get what the message is. I don't get the metaphor. I don't get what the plot is. I find it quite fun to watch, but I don't really understand it.
They could have just had her be like, "Oh, the Victorian era isn't clean. It's dirty. I just want to make it pure again." There you go. There's your character.
That would have been fine. I'd have accepted that, especially if you're saying and if you explained that Mr. Sweet had told her this, because then you've got this thing that's lived through all these things. And it's like, this planet is vile. Let's clean it. Sure.
Like it's telling her about how it was perfect and pretty and clean.
Yes, let's get it back to that. I'm gonna believe you.
There you go.
But without that explanation, I'm just like, huh? And actually, I've mentioned this in a previous episode. I can't remember if I left it in or if I cut it out. But Mark Gatiss is releasing or has released a Target novelization of this episode. And usually in those novelizations, they expand on things and explain things and change bits that they didn't like. They'll often rewatch the episode and go, "Oh, that didn't quite work," and they'll remove that and change it. I'd be quite curious to read the novelization of this episode because I feel like Gatiss would probably fix and change quite a bit.
Yeah.
Explain bits a bit more. Explain what your Sweetville people will achieve. Explain what Mr. Sweet was actually giving to you rather than just saying, "Give him my nectar." Yeah, but was he the brains behind the operation, or were you just like, "There"? That was me being a crazy person.
Yeah. I'm not going to laugh at any more of your jokes now, so you have no choice but to edit them out. Or if you're a really good editor, you can kind of splice them with me laughing.
I'll put canned laughter in.
Oh, okay, fine. I'll laugh at them.
I'll laugh at them. I'll put a freeze frame of you going, and then just ha 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 in the background. It'd be like the voice of 30 people, but it'll all be coming out of your mouth.
30 people coming out of my mouth.
Yes.
That's.
I mean, if it was maybe 30 people going into your mouth, that'd be a bit more concerning.
That'd probably be your search history.
Can't drag that one up now. It's just been the running theme now.
We've had more consistently talking about that joke than we have.
Then we have this episode, yeah.
Yes. Right, so just kind of to recap. Doctor, done badly. Just badly. There's sexualization in this episode which isn't needed. Why the fuck did you need it? Get rid of that. What would I do? Fix the Doctor's characterization, get rid of the sexualization for no reason, get rid of that. Mr. Sweet, make him the mastermind. Give the old lady an actual motive, as we've discussed. And kind of the mystery's fine how it is.
Reorganize the cold open, as we said earlier.
Maybe. but that's not like okay.
It's not,
I'd like
it's not,
that.
it's not
No, it isn't.
essential.
No, it's not essential. I'd like it to be kind of reorganized how we've said, but keeping it how it is, as long as you change the other stuff, is fine. Like, I think it would probably work better, you know. But yeah, reorganize it if you can. Yeah. Right, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize for this episode because it has probably been our least focused ever.
But fun.
Yeah.
Maybe it's representative of the Crimson Horror. It doesn't make sense. We don't understand it. We'd fix loads of things about it, but it's quite
I
fun.
couldn't fix anything about me. Thank you very much. I am a
How long have you
golden
got?
god.
I've got a list. I've got some notes.
Well done. All right. And on that note,
Thank you for listening.
see you next time.
Nobody listens.
Thank you.
But
Aidan,
please
have
listen.
some,
Please listen to
if
us.
you listen to this, show this to your friends because we need the
Yes.
hiccups.
We're on YouTube and Spotify. Please.
We are on Utter Radio, but if you are listening to this on Utter Radio, it's probably at the wrong time.
We're on and we're on once a week, so it's just easier just to say YouTube and Spotify, isn't it? I mean, it might actually repeat us, but I have no idea what slot we're repeated in. So
Yeah, I have no idea.
next week we're going to be doing our final David Tennant episode of Series 1. Are you going to cry?
Oh no, because it's going to be a good one, isn't
Well, it is Daleks in Manhattan /
it?
Evolution of the Daleks. So it's a two-parter. God, I'm going to have to actually watch this one on time and not just an hour before, aren't I? It's a two-parter. I don't mind this one, but obviously you don't like it. You get the Daleks gossiping with each other. When do you ever get that? Anyway,
It has.
all that is to come next week. So thank you for listening. If you even are, who cares anymore? I've had enough. Goodbye.
Crying tonight!